WhiskyJason here, Whisky Live Dublin 2023, together with
James Doherty from Sliabh Liag Distillers.
I was there last year. It really impressed me. I had the opportunity to fill my own cask, which was very, very, very nice. You have some interesting products.
Well, everything's peated, so it's all a bit different.
I walked over to the group of people that you were just talking to. The peat week was there. I just went, okay, I'm close to James.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have that often in Irish whiskey.
No, and it's kind of strange when you think that there's no coal on the island, so all of the island would have been peated at one time.
Yeah.
So it is bizarre that we're probably the only guys committed to it completely.
But it's not just experiments, completely.
Yeah. Absolutely. We bet the house on it, so it better work. But we've got serious amounts of, with the grains in distillery as well, you've got a serious amount of richness and flavour. And people seem to be open to it. It's especially if we talk about it as a smoky journey rather than a peated journey. I think that's the bit we've found. If we talk about peat, everyone assumes it's Scottish and Islay, and whereas if you talk about a smoky journey, smoke as a flavour, that seems to be working. And they drink quite well. I mean, I quite like them, so hopefully you do too. So, Dark Silky particularly is getting some traction. And the Midnight Silky, the richness, I think, is working very well.
Well, let's show some bottles here.
So,
all right.
Yeah. So, the Silky starts as a journey in smoke. 4% of that blend is peated. It's a 70-30 grain to a malt mix.
Is this the second or the third recipe?
It's the
15th?
It's the third and a half.
Okay.
So there's a third. Originally it wasn't peated, but we couldn't get peated. Then John Teeling thankfully made us some.
Yes.
And then since then we first released it as a 25% malt. We went to 30. Then we went to natural color non-chill filter, so we evolved that. And then it still had a little lemony spike, which I didn't like. So most people won't pick up that that's changed, but that's the 3.5, so that bit's changed a little bit more.
I just recently said in our podcast in the German whiskey news, this is the whiskey that has the best development I know of. You went from okay to very nice, and it just the learning curve is so evident here. Well done.
No, thank you. I think also
also supply chain curve as well.
Exactly. I think there's also you're so right, because I think also the bit that I took on board most was we talked smoky. And we didn't really deliver it, and that was wrong, and we got a bit of a slap on the wrist for that, and we learned a few lessons, and now we're better. So,
all right, so that was that.
So then that's followed by Dark Silky.
Yes.
Now 15% of the blend is peated. Fully, all the grain whiskey is now virgin oak, so it's now you got a solid caramel sweetness. Best blended Irish in San Francisco, but it's the taste of my granddad's pipe. So appley, tobacco-y, sweet, and then it has this pipe smoke blanket gently laid over the top, and that's probably been the one that's catalyzed the business a bit, captured the imagination.
Exactly.
So going well.
Very, very nice.
And then the final one in the core range is Midnight Silky.
Yes.
So Midnight Silky is actually a single malt. We don't put single malt on the label because I think if you put single malt on, people believe it's from your distillery, and it isn't. So they're all Great Northern. It's a mix of Cabernet Sauvignon, gives you a bit of apple sweetness. Imperial Stout gives you that creamy, chocolatey taste. Christmassy stuff from the Oloroso sherry. Some virgin oak for a bit of color, a bit of dryness. And then the bourbon is 35% is a bourbon, peated in a bourbon cask. And that's, but it's much more integrated. So a bit more elegant because the grain whiskey's not there. And the smoke sits as richness rather than on the top. So, it's kind of the one that I suppose people who like smokes like to play with this one, but it's not as obvious as Dark Silky.
All right. Very good. And you have the red as well, right?
So we have the red. This is actually the one we did for the three drinkers, which is a Chateau l'Église Pomerol cask. So it's the original Silky, so it's legendary in a Pomerol cask for 6 months. Picks up a kind of raspberry coulis type sweetness, and then almost what's the word? Hibiscus, lavendery kind of aroma. So it's lovely and sweet. So, they're going well, very well.
Now, those are the products that are going to continue to be sourced in the future, even after you make your own products.
That's right. We can replace the peated element. So we'll use our own peated, but all of the other malts, we'll probably, I'll sell John my peated or swap it.
Trade it.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be much more like a Scottish model, I guess, in terms of swapping stock.
barrels, yeah.
So we will need all the unpeated elements and the grain elements from him because we have no columns and no unpeated. So,
all right, very good. Now, when will we have your own inaugural release?
So
You've been distilling for what, 18 months?
So 18 months in the Ardra distillery, but we actually...
Excuse me, yes, we have 2 distilleries, which we need to remember. So I went to the wrong distillery the first time.
And Google will catch up eventually.
Okay. I think they have already, but
so,
that was my mistake.
But when we had the gin distillery at Sliabh Liag, we made whiskey in there too. That first one is 3 years old on the 26th of July this year.
Ah, very good.
So that's a ferociously peated, double distilled single malt, and so we'll release that, probably only 150 bottles, but that'll be the first. And then Ardra, I think March 25.
Right.
October 24 is probably 3 years old.
Right, okay.
The first stuff you made was probably not your best.
You're still learning.
And we were commissioning all of that weird kit we have. But it's maturing beautifully. I think our new maker is probably a little bit clean, if I'm honest. But the pot still is rich and has been exceptional. So I think March 25 will be a really exciting time for us.
I'm sure. Very good. Can we visit you?
Absolutely. The distillery's open 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday. Tours from 10, 12, 2 and 4. We'll probably have to extend that, if I'm honest, because the tours are already full.
That's great, especially in the summer.
Yeah, and it's not like a Disney visitor center.
No.
It's a working distillery with a tasting. It's hot. It's very hot.
Beautiful view out the window there.
Yeah, and we'll have that bridge in shortly, so then you can walk from the village into it. So, going really well. Lots of great reaction. It's lovely to see people coming to Donegal, giving them another reason to come to what is a beautiful part of the world.
It is,
it's raw and wild, and quite different to the rest of Ireland. So, hopefully we tell that story well from now on.
And any other crowdfunding projects?
We're probably done on the crowd. I think realistically, the next round will have to be an institutional one, just because the challenge is scaling now. We've got a good distribution platform, but getting to the next level probably takes a bit more money than we can get out of crowdfunding, unfortunately. But all of our existing crowdfunders can still invest. All of our existing investors can invest in us at any time. So if they want to give me a shout, I'll hook them up. And the barrels are on. You have a Shanachie barrel.
Yes.
So thank you for that. The support means a hell of a lot. And those Shanachie, the Storyteller casks, they're still available at the moment.
All right,
www.sliabhliagdistillers.com/Shanachie or /tours if you want to book a tour.
Very good. WhiskyJason here. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.